Hi, my name is Lester Bryant and I'm from Labour8. So you're involved in human resources and you can see that COVID-19 is changing what people are asking you to do for them. Business owners and organisations are worried. They are starting to contemplate some big changes. So your more usual tasks of recruiting, hiring, firing and personal grievance cases is about to be overtaken by the need for advice on restructuring. But it's more than that. It's about economic restructuring. This is very different. If a company has to restructure for economic reasons, it's about the money. It's about cutting costs. This is usually because they're anticipating a big revenue drop and they cannot afford what they have in place. So they come to you for advice. They don't want to stuff it up. This raises the question as to what would be bad advice. Have you ever seen a bad restructure? Particularly when it comes to an economic one. That's one where the owners discover the early termination costs are greater than the company could handle from their reserves at the time, and where the staff that remained after early terminations were finished were incapable of making the company the needed cash flow. They kept the worst staff. And this gets worse because it leads to a second round of restructuring. This usually means the end of the company. A good economic restructure is affordable, is targeted, predicts all of the long-term outcomes accurately. But what if there was a chance of a great economic restructure? A great economic restructure would make the company not just survive, but thrive. If you can tolerate watching another 7 minutes of video, you will see a path to offering your clients better restructuring outcomes. Our tools can help you to deliver so much more. Become a master at economic restructures within days, so you can deliver happier clients and obtain longer term engagements. This next part of the video will illustrate this for you. With the outbreak of COVID, the need for businesses to restructure has become more apparent. To be even more precise, the need for an economic restructure, a restructure that maximises the chances of a business survival, is apparent. Some perfectly decent people that you know right now in business will find themselves in a difficult position soon. Commentators are predicting an ever-increasing progression of job losses from December. That means that the businesses who employed them went broke. This leaves every small business owner exposed to the risk of their personal guarantees. If we accept that the jobs will be lost and that the businesses who employed them will fail, we should also accept the fact that many business people will struggle to be one of the few that survive. There will also be a ripple effect because there are dependencies between the different business sectors. If tourism is affected, does it affect, say, construction? Here's a simple scenario. The tourism sector was generating about $42 billion a year of our GDP in 2019. The second largest and second largest employer was construction at $29 billion a year. The question is, how much of the $29 billion in construction was occurring because of tourism? If you also take away more by way of immigration of people into New Zealand from overseas and foreign student spending in New Zealand, then you will soon see a decline. You soon start to realise that there cannot be enough work in the construction industry after all of these changes have occurred and affected the tourism industry. Yes, there has been a sugar rush of construction since COVID was announced by people who have diverted their spending into renovating or because of low interest rates, but that will soon run out, probably by December 2020 as some commentators are predicting. This means a lot of businesses related to both tourism and construction must start to become more sensitive to what is ahead. So in 2021, will the GDP from construction be the same as it was in 2019? Not likely. If it dropped by 20%, how many businesses would struggle to survive? But even worse, what if it was 50%? If and when each of these businesses figures this out, their primary concern will be what? And does this primary concern include a windfall for you? Yes, it does. What is that concern? It's simple really. What will be the most important thing on everyone's mind is, will we survive this recession? And do we have a plan? These people will wonder, what is a reasonable way to calculate their ability to survive? Firstly, point out that this is not the first recession and it won't be the last. Tell them that the majority of companies that survive a recession do have common traits though, and that there is some logic behind who usually survives and who usually fails. A sort of a recipe. Well, here is a formula for survival. Revenue plus reserves, which could include overdrafts, over costs times velocity. Let's just jump to a simple bit of logic here. To make revenue, you need sales. The company that wins the work will likely be the one that is the cheapest. As a business, the gap between your cost price and your sale price defends your position in two ways. It maximizes your selling potential while maintaining a reasonable profit. So the single biggest determinant on the ability to survive in a depressed market is, wait for it, is costs. This raises the cost question. And we are not talking about little cost differences here. Shaving things at the edges is not reasonable. We mean 10%, 20% or more if you are to outstrip your competition. Let's assume that you cannot greatly outstrip your competitors on the cost of raw materials and supplies. That leaves you two areas that you can address, and both areas have the same item: labour. If you can greatly reduce your labour costs, then you can outstrip your competition. There is no other way. You are probably asking yourself, surely I've already done this, I'm just paying what I have to, don't I? Well, no, you are not. Here is an example of two businesses both working the same market with very different labour cost structures. In real terms, this is an apples for apples comparison, and they both do exactly the same sort of work with the same type of staff. But Company B has restructured their labour. They did this legally. Here are the figures, they're amazing. Company A, the unchanged company, has 15 staff, whereas Company B is nearly double the size, it has 29 staff. Let's first look at the percentage of hours that are paid for but that are not worked. Company A has a very typical 17.65% of non-billable time, while Company B has achieved a ratio of only 3.3%. That is 5 times less than Company A on a per man basis. This provides an additional 338 hours per year per man. So whereas Company A is receiving on average 1,700 billable hours per man, Company B is getting 2,048 hours. That's an average revenue increase of $23,000 per man. But it doesn't stop there. Company B was paying $403,000 a year for non-productive work. This has now dropped to $39,000, a saving of $352,000 per year. Think about that for a second. So what does this mean in terms of survival? If survival was determined by the ability to be cheaper and still maintain profit, then surely the cost of labour per hour must be important. The average and quite typical true cost of labour per hour for Company A is $46. Contrast this with Company B, which is now achieving $36 an hour. At first glance, this may not seem significant, but it is. You see, Company B pays for nearly 60,000 hours of labour a year. That $10 per hour increase in revenue is a staggering $590,000 a year for what is effectively the same labour input. That means that Company B can offer their labour at $2 an hour cheaper than Company A and still be $8 an hour more profitable than Company A. There is no doubt about who would survive. No matter which way you look at it, Company B will make more money, or it will survive longer to make more money long after the price droppers and the cowboys are gone. Personally, I wouldn't want to be Company A up against Company B. Let's recap. Many business owners are about to consider restructuring. This provides you with an opportunity. To cement the opportunity, you need to talk about the solution that is paramount to those people: survival. Survival comes about because of sound decision making. With Labour8, you can raise your skill level to provide this. Let's be very clear though, Labour8 does not replace what you currently do. It supplements it and enables you to work longer and more deeply with your clients. Better still, you can model and remodel these changes until your clients are certain as to the outcomes. For you, there will be better engagements, longer engagements, happier clients. Labour8 delivers all three. Contact us using one of the following methods. Let us discuss your needs and demonstrate Labour8. You can speed this process up by using the Get Demo link and selecting a person and their booking calendar. Thank you. I'm Lester Bryant.